But I want to talk just for a few minutes. I got an interview coming up with Logan Hessbrook. Logan played for us at Saginaw Valley, went on to transfer up and finish his career at Central Michigan. Now he's living and working back in his hometown of Ithaca. Logan's going to have a really good message to talk about his belief and his thoughts and his experience with some mental awareness and things that young student athletes especially can do to better themselves. I think it's going to be a fantastic message. I'm looking forward to hearing him. I've always known Logan and his family to be really good people. And I know a lot of them. I think I have more Hessbrooks in my phone than I do actually my own family. That's how crazy it is, how many of the Hessbrooks I've gotten a chance to know, as well as the most recent Brady going on to play up at Wayne State this upcoming fall. So looking forward to talking to. I've been like everybody else. I've been sitting around. I've been seeing the changes in athletics, especially with the NIL that has started this past July. I've seen how that's kind of taken hold of college athletics, obviously. Sitting here currently watching the Bucks series, got a chance to follow the NHL a little bit. Obviously, if the Red Wings were playing, I might have a little bit more interest, but followed the Lightning. Currently watching baseball. That home run derby was a lot of fun, all-star game. I mean, it's crazy to see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. win the all-star MVP. I remember watching his dad play with no gloves, by the way. Can't believe his son plays with gloves. His dad used to bat with no gloves. But so we're sitting here in the midst of sports, but I see a change coming in sports, especially with the NIL. I really don't think there's amateur athletics anymore now since July 1st. I think amateur athletics, as we know it, are kind of gone. And I think we're talking now about everything is professionalized. I actually even have some concerns about some of this drifting down into the high school sports. I hope I'm wrong on that one. But I'm going to talk about this real quick. And again, I don't want to dive into the NIL. If you have any questions or any thoughts on it, reach out to us at getaaron.com. I have a lot of information and content on the site. Getaaron.com for anything that you may have, questions or thoughts or concerns about the NIL, things that you may need to ask. But I want to talk a little bit about the pageantry of college sports. Okay, I want to have a little bit of fun with this short segment here and talk about, even though I dive into the NIL and I see the changes coming, we can talk about that till we're blue in the face. That's what's happening. I want to reflect back on what I think is just one of the most enjoyable parts of athletics, the pageantry of sport, and especially game day. And I want to think about it. I sat back and I reflected and I thought about my time playing college football. I played college football at Saginaw Valley, but obviously I was involved in many other sports. But you know what the most memorable thing of it is? And I haven't been to a lot of tailgates. I went to one, because I was coaching for all these years. We were playing on Saturdays. One time in my year at Northern Michigan, we had an off week. I was back home with the family in Saginaw. They were still living there. And we went to a Michigan State game. I think that was the only time I tailgated, went to a game where I wasn't actually coaching in. So I haven't had a lot of experiences with just kind of being on college campuses on Saturdays. It's been kind of limited. But at the end of the day, the thing I remember as a player, and the thing I remember about that one experience being at East Lansing and watching the Michigan State game, the sound of the band. You're sitting there, you come out of the locker room, you get dressed, you hear those drums going. You hear the horns start playing. You know that marching band is, I don't know, they might be on the other side of campus, but you can hear them off in the distance. And you see those people tailgating, you see those flags flying, you can kind of hear, the people milling around. Some people are starting to pass you to get ready to go to the game. The smell of the grills that are rolling. And this isn't just football. Again, you go to a volleyball match on Saturday, because that was very common in Saginaw Valley. We'd have volleyball matches going on as well, too, so people would be there for both sports. And just the feeling, that sense of game day on a college campus, it's intoxicating. It's awesome. Okay, I think it's so much fun, and I want to give this quick special thank you out there to all the people that make that happen. It's not just about the players that run out there, at the big house, or those people that run out there, the players that run out on Camp Randall. Okay, it is about everybody involved in that pageantry of the day of a game, that excitement, the buildup. Okay, the national media, I think, in a lot of ways tries to tell you that it's all just about the biggest programs, Alabama football, Duke basketball. And I hear this narrative all the time that there's always these low watched record numbers if you don't have Duke basketball playing Kentucky in the national championship. Or an instance at the Final Four, wherever, if it ever were to be something like Central Michigan, versus Boise for a national title, nobody would watch. And I don't love how they use that word nobody, because somebody would watch, okay? And there's a lot of fans that would watch, okay? But maybe there's not this national sense when it's on TV, but that feeling on game days, that's special. And it takes more than just the athletes. It takes the band. Like I said, they come running out there. and they're marching down the right through the quad, and they're playing the drums and the horns are rolling, and you can feel that beat, man. It's something special. And just kind of hearing it off in the distance to everybody involved. Okay, not just the band members, but the band families, the people at the counters taking the tickets. Now it's all digital nowadays, but the people scanning your ticket, that feeling of walking past somebody and scanning your ticket and then going into the game, that person saying, enjoy the game. That's memorable, man. That is something to the parents involved, for all the athletes and just the students themselves just showing up to come have fun on a Saturday afternoon, hopefully within reason, but have fun on a Saturday afternoon. The cheerleaders going crazy on the sidelines, getting fired up when someone scores a touchdown or makes a basket or you spike the ball in a volleyball match. It's just that feeling, that sense of the pageantry of college athletics. There's a lot of things that are better. Okay, having a family, seeing your children have success, which is kind of part of this. But this is a great feeling. And I don't ever want to forget about how fun and enjoyable the pageantry of college athletics are. So I want to thank everybody involved. I want to thank the parents. I want to thank the band. I want to thank the cheerleaders. Okay. I want to thank the parents involved with all these different people, the ticket takers. Okay. Everybody involved that makes those days go. It's very similar. I remember hearing, when I was coaching, our head coach used to tell a story one time about fighter jet pilots. Okay. And he talked about the fighter jet pilot that takes off in the F-18 or whatever they fly nowadays. Okay. They make so much money to fly that plane and go do whatever they got to do. Okay. Obviously go do reconnaissance or unfortunately have some kind of a battle or protect our shores, whatever it may be. The fighter pilot makes all this money and they fly it. But the amount of people that it takes to launch that thing off of an aircraft, to launch that plane off, is an immense amount of people. And the fighter jet pilot gets all the credit because he flies it and he's kind of the man or woman that's like, wow, I'm the big shot. But it takes so many people to create launching an airplane off of an aircraft, just like it takes so many people to create that pageantry of college athletics. And I just want to thank everybody that's involved. We're on the doorstep of a new season. And obviously, I'm hopeful that everyone can stay safe and we can have somewhat more of a normal season post-COVID. But the reality is, everything that makes college athletics special, thank you to all those people. Again, to the cheerleaders, to the band, to the graphics people that go and put all those cool graphics up on the scoreboard, the people that work up in the press box to run the scoreboards and work the scoring sessions at the volleyball match or the basketball arena. It's so much fun. It's such an enjoyable experience to be around. I can take myself back to my experience when I was playing college athletics, and that's a great feeling. So again, for everybody that's involved, it's not just the athletes. So thank you to all the people that are involved in a daily process of getting to college athletics games, because that is a fun, awesome experience, and I hope we never lose it. Okay, things are changing, sport is changing, but at the end of the day, I hope we never lose that feeling of passion, that feeling of pageantry in college athletics. Coming up, going to listen to my friend Logan Hessbrook. Got a chance to coach Logan, got a chance to follow his career and now his life as he stepped into the coaching world, working back at his high school where he graduated and won a bunch of state championships with his brother as the new head coach. I'm excited to kind of hear his message and get a chance to listen to somebody kind of spread their thoughts, especially on the mental awareness, but just kind of hear a little bit of Logan's thoughts on the day and age of sports today. So looking forward to catching up with Logan next.
All right.
Welcome back. State of Play. I'm joined now with Logan Hessbrook. Logan lives and works in Ithaca. Logan played for us at Saginaw Valley, was a receiver, transferred to Central Michigan to finish up his career, played for Coach Bono up there for the Chippewas, and now lives in Ithaca, Michigan, coaches now for the Yellow Jackets. Logan, thanks for coming on. Thanks for joining us on State of Play. How are things over in your side of the world?
Hey, we're staying busy over here. I didn't have to get stuck behind any tractors this morning coming to the office. So, that's always a plus, but things are rocking. So we're,
it's always interesting. It's always interesting to hear people from different. I got somebody on Hubert on the earliers down in Nashville. He's in a recording studio. You're down driving around tractors, going to work, man. Logan, I want to talk real quick about your experience. You started with us at Saginaw Valley. You were a really good player. You played as a true freshman. After winning a ton of state titles at Ithaca. You probably don't even have enough fingers on your hand to have all the rings that you won at Ithaca. But you win all these games at Ithaca. You came and played for us, and you were just right off the bat, the first practice, and I've told you this before, the first practice, you could tell you were ready to play. We didn't win a lot of games that year. Unfortunately, you got hurt That's not something I think we want to. You're fired up to talk about your injury, but then you decided the next year is time for you to take your opportunity, move your life towards Central, which we've talked about. I support. I think whatever was best for you and your family was the right decision. Then you had a chance to have a great career there. Now you're back coaching. Talk to us a little bit about your life story and just kind of where you are today, everything you've taken away from those different set of circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you said, we were very successful in high school. Uncle Terry was running the program there, and we won a state championship with my brother as a senior and me as a junior, and then we won my senior year as well. And so my recruiting really took off. From you guys were my first offer after my junior year, when I actually had to play quarterback in that state finals game. So
I remember that.
So when I went to you guys and visited there, I fell in love with Saginaw Valley, and I wasn't a high recruit at all. I had a lot of D2 interests and everything, and Grand Valley had offered as well. And then other places had said, hey, well, if you come, do your workout, we'll give you an offer. And to me, it was either Saginaw Valley or Grand Valley. And then about a week and a half before signing day, I don't even know if you know this, Mose Risen, he was up at Central, the receivers coach, and Mose had came in and, he said that, I know you can play D1. We don't have a scholarship right now, but we'd offer you a gray shirt. And, to me, obviously, my whole mindset, I was upset at that, because it's like, what, I know I can play at that level, and you guys want to give me a gray shirt, great. But, I'm going to go to Saginaw Valley where I know I can compete right away and potentially start. And, so then when I went to you guys, I absolutely loved it there. And, when I did play as a true freshman, and then had that injury, I kind of sat down and, talked with my dad mostly and my brother, and, didn't really talk to Uncle Terry too much about it until I, fully decided that I was going to be done playing football. And, I thought to myself, what, if I was able to play as a true freshman at Saginaw, and I always wanted to try to play Division I, this might be my opportunity. And, so after the rehab and everything like that, I decided, what, now it's time to go. And, so I made that decision, and, ended up walking on there. And about the second day of winter conditioning, Coach Bono pulled me in his office, and he's like, well, what do you think about playing tight end? And to me, I had never been in a 3-point stance, and I was about 205 pounds. And, I'm like, coach, I was like, if that's the best thing you think's for me, for the program, then I'll do it. And, I had to sit out, obviously, from the transfer rules being ineligible that first fall. So, after that 16th fall, I ended up being like 228, 230 going into 2017 season. And, then ended up being around 255 my senior year at Central. So, I think with that, I really realized that, a lot of the things I was going to do in life from there on out was going to be unselfish. And so, I did that for the team. Obviously, I would have loved to play receiver, but I just did that, and I trusted in the coaching staff. And, obviously I had Sharon Moore, and obviously we all know he's, getting to be big time at Michigan now. And, then Tavita Thompson came in, and, it was great. It was a great experience. And, obviously, we'd talked before, and, I loved Saginaw Valley, but, for me, it was like, I want to be able to, my future kids someday, I want them to be able to reach for whatever their dream is. Right. And, if Division I's their dream, Division II is their dream, Division III is their dream, or if their dream is to not even play sports, I'm going to support that, full heartedly. But, it was me, it was just, how I have one name, there's only one Logan Hessbrook out here. And, I want to be able to be proud of what I'm trying to do. And, obviously I ended up running into injuries at Central as well, but, I was able to do it, and, ended up earning a scholarship. So, I would say, my college goals, in hindsight, I kind of reached the personal ones, but obviously, we'd went to the bowl game my junior year. And of course we ran into a quarterback named Josh Allen
he was okay
from Wyoming. And he was all right. He was all right. So, we ended up losing to them in Idaho, which obviously Idaho was amazing place. That was my first time being out there. I didn't realize, one, how good the potatoes were, because we had them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Any style of potatoes, we had them. And then, my senior year, unfortunately, we go down as the worst team in CMU history. So, I experienced success and adversity and injuries personally, as well as a team. So, and the funny thing is about any college sport, and I mean, as you know, you go into any sort of job interview, it almost feels like you're like a tape recorder, because every answer you have, it can be related to a football experience.
Right.
And
100%.
And it's like, shoot, that's what my life has been around. It's been around sports. So that's my most experiences.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's funny. You said Coach Bono pulled you in and asked you to play tight end and you didn't know if you could do it. I saw you at that 7-on-7 and I said, if you were this big when you came to Saginaw Valley, you'd have been playing left tackle. Defensive end, man. I mean, you look great. You look fantastic. But I'm looking around at this. I was at a 7-on-7 and I'm looking around. I'm watching the team go through offense and I'm like, man, where is Logan? I see Jordan. Okay. Where is Logan? And then you come off the field and I was like, man, I can tell from your smile, you look like a left tackle, man. You look fantastic. You look like a first-round draft pick left tackle. But I want to talk about this real quick. You said something really important right there. You talked about your transfer story. Okay. You talked about communicating with your family. I talk a lot about the circle. Okay. And the people that should be helping young student athletes, young high school kids make legitimate life decisions. Okay. Like changing your number in college is not a life decision. Okay. Deciding or maybe having your coach ask you to move a position. It's not a life decision to leave one university, go to the other, and then decide to continue playing the sport or not, especially after an injury. That's a life decision. And you kind of touched on it, but can you kind of go into more detail a little bit about how important and impactful your circle was in making that decision?
I think the biggest thing about it is, my family, fortunately, my family has been successful in their professions. And, so financially, I was able to kind of make that decision because, obviously I was on scholarship and I had a great package there at Saginaw Valley.
Yep.
So, when I had first talked about walking on, I told my Uncle Terry and he was kind of like, what the hell are you doing? Why? And, and I think him and I, our relationship really took off from there, as more of another father figure, because he'd always been an uncle to me, but, he's always Coach Hessbrook to me. I was a water boy for him and everything like that. So all I saw with Uncle Terry was football. And, so a lot of things that we had talked about, especially between my dad, my uncle, and then my brother, Jordan, they fully supported me. And, I think that was the biggest thing, is because, you're going to realize that your circle is tighter than ever. And, especially when, everyone in the community and, being in a small community can be a great thing. It can also be your worst enemy.
Right.
And, so, when I decided I was transferring and walking on, I had heard different rumors of so-and-so saying things about me in the community. And you know what? And it was like, they're the first people that, once I ended up earning a scholarship at Central, they're the first people to congratulate me.
Right.
And it's like, you're always going to remember the negative things, So, I don't take it to heart too much, because there's always haters no matter what. But, that circle that you have, I mean, there's only certain people in your corner. And, and, and then I had those main three. Obviously my whole family and a lot of my friends are in there too. But, I'd say my main points of contact, they kind of let me know, like, hey, you're also setting an example for a lot of other kids too. And, kind of proving like, hey, you got to follow your dreams and whatever you want to be. And, for me, I was fortunate that my parents were able to bear the burden of, my student loans and paying for college for me for a couple of years there at Central. And, if I didn't have them, I don't know what would have happened. And, because first thing that I remember that when you were recruiting me is talking about, you're not just making a 4-year decision, you're making a decision that's setting up your whole life.
Right.
And I think that's the toughest thing for kids is, I was 17 years old when you guys started recruiting me, and it's like, you don't understand that yet.
Right.
And so you don't really know. And, my brother, he went to, he was a MIAA recruit at Division III. And so, when we're talking about different financial package at D2, it's like, that's all new. That's all uncharted territory for my whole family. So, so it was different, and it was an adjustment. And I think we all learned from that. the business side of things. And, you really just got to go with your heart. And I think that for me, with me knowing that, I could play at D2, it wasn't anything against that level, but it was like, okay, why would I want to go transfer to a Ferris State or a Grand Valley? Because I had already proved to myself that I could play at Division II. So, when I had those tough conversations, especially, I think my dad and my uncle and brother all thought like, well, listen, you had decent speed at D2. You go to D1, you're not going to be a blazer out there on the edge. So I think that me switching to tight end definitely helped me out and helped out my matchups. But, I think that nowadays, I think kids are much more educated on it. And obviously, recruiting with social media, there's so much that's going out there. And especially you doing what you do now, I think it's huge because I didn't know, who to trust or what to think, when I was going through it. And, you get emails and you get phone calls and you get texts from coaches. And it's like, it's overwhelming when you have no experience. It's not like Ithaca. It's not like we always have college recruits coming through. So, it was different. And, I didn't have other friends that, were above me that really went on to play at the next level. So, so you have no other connections. And so you just try to do your own due diligence. But at the end of the day, I mean, you learn from experience, and we just didn't have that experience of what to handle or how to handle it.
Right. Well, the funny thing that you talked about right there is you're right. The circle is really important and the kids are more educated, but there are messages coming in left and right to kids now.
Yeah.
You're on social media, you see a kid all over the country, kids all over the country posting offers. So you think that that's real. You don't, because how do you know? You don't know any different.
Yep.
So that's when I talk about the circle. That's why it's more imperative maybe than ever. Because how do you know if that advice from this person or that advice from that person outside of your circle is legitimately with your best interests at heart? And I kind of want to talk now. I've noticed you started posting some things on social media about mental health and mental awareness.
Yep.
And I want to talk a little bit. This is kind of, we've known each other for a while.
Yeah.
And you've posted a few things, reached out and said, this message is good. You're probably going to reach more people on your social media posts than I'll be able to, but maybe we reach one or two more people.
Right.
Why this message about mental awareness, mental health? Why have you kind of championed this approach in the last couple months?
Yeah, I think, for me, I truly didn't believe in mental health or any sort of mental illnesses when I was in, high school or anything, because you're on top of the world. You feel like you have so much things, so many good things going on. And, for me, I think it really triggered when I was in college. And I think the biggest thing that I kind of suffered from was because anytime I'd come back to Ithaca or anytime people would check on me, it was always about, well, how's football going?
Right.
How's football? And so I became so self-absorbed in that image of, well, I'm a football player.
Right.
You go to class, you're seen as a football player, and I mean, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. And it just depends on how you handle it. And I think for me, when I was a young kid, when I was a freshman and, playing at Saginaw Valley, there was different distractions that approach you, and you don't know what to follow. You go to a party and people say, oh, well, hey, you're that freshman that that played, and it's like, yeah, I am. And you kind of lose who you are as a person because you're so stuck on trying to fit this mold of what other people are trying to set for you. And the same thing had happened when I decided to transfer to Central, because I got there and at the time I thought it was the best decision for me. But then there was those other times when I'd go through a spring practice. Obviously, I'm at that time 210-pound tight end,
right? And
I am just getting the dog crap beat out of me every single day. And so then it's like I start second guessing myself, and it's like, if I was at Saginaw Valley, who knows? 2 years later, there could be NFL scouts there watching me. You have no idea. And so then I just get so caught up in that.
Right.
And I think for me it was, I got so self-absorbed in the game and then the image of being an athlete that I'd begin to lose myself.
Right.
And I couldn't tell you, when I was playing, how many times people said, well, how are you, Logan? I could maybe count on one hand.
Right.
I mean, because it is what it is. And I think it's different for us here in Ithaca because there isn't many people that do go on to play college. So, it might not be that same thing if you're at Brother Rice or if you're at, Cass Tech or anything like that. But, I guess I just lost who I was. And, so now I'm trying to use that platform of the different connections I built from being an athlete and trying to get out there and reach people, because at a time when I was going through it, I didn't want to tell anyone. My closest friends didn't know what I was going through. And, at the time, my family didn't really even know, because at the end of the day, I didn't know what I was going through. I just, I in my free time, I like hunting and fishing. And, I realized when I went home for the summer or anything like that, when I was up at Central, it was like I had no joy in what I was doing.
Right.
And I think it was because all I was thinking about was football. And I didn't have football to make me happy. I didn't have those people talking to me about football. And, everything had just kind of spiraled downhill so quick, that I'd talked to my, my primary doctor here in Ithaca. And it's like, what can I do? I'm not feeling great, about myself. And, I just don't feel any happiness. And obviously I knew my personality to a core is high energy, love to consider myself the life of the party. And, I just didn't feel that anymore. And so, I'd reached out to him and he had connected me with a counselor. And, I love counseling now. I will say when I first went through it, as a 19, 20-year-old, there's different counselors that are really good at what they do, and then some that aren't so good at what they do. So my first experience with counseling, went to this one lady. I thought the first session was good in my mind. Go back the next week, and she asked me, she goes, "Well, how are you doing from that DUI court case?" And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Well, how did court go?" And I was like, "I think you got the wrong person." And then so she, she had mistaken me for someone else. And so then I found a different counselor, and
there you go.
Actually still in contact with her, every couple months now, just checking in with her. And, I think the biggest thing with going to counseling is, it's an unbiased person, and, it's a profession that they're making their living off of. And, there's just so many different techniques about living in the present and, self-meditation and stuff like that. And, stuff that I never would have thought of when I was in high school or, my first couple of years of college. But, as soon as I shared my message, with different people, there's been countless number of kids that have reached out to me that are in high school still. Certain players that are on our team now that have reached out to me here in Ithaca, and, their parents, and, different guys that I played with at Central, guys that are in the NFL now. And, it's like mental health doesn't discriminate, whether you believe in it or not. I can guarantee you that, someone's went through something that, you don't want to talk about, and it's a pain point, and it's a pressure point to them. And, I think that the biggest thing with society now is just becoming more aware of it, because, especially with COVID too, you saw what that has done to so many people. And, there was, when I had met with my counselor, she told me that like nationally suicide rates were up like 400% through COVID. And so, that was kind of my main reason of getting a message out, whether it reaches 2 people or it reaches 1,000 people, at least I'm doing what I can to do to try to help someone.
Okay. Logan, first of all, I'll say your message is 100% on. I'll support you. If someone needs help, they should go talk to a doctor.
Yeah.
Obviously that's the number one thing someone should, and that's a big step. A lot of people won't take that first step. It's kind of what you mentioned there, just a little bit, but that's the first thing that people should do. But let's kind of take it to what me and you can talk about. I'm not a doctor. You're not, unless you you were in college for a long time. So maybe you got a doctor.
No,
but me and you aren't doctors. So let's kind of put the professional advice aside, because neither of us are educated to be able to do that. But you're talking about balance. Okay. And from what I'm hearing, you're talking about balance. And in this day and age with social media, you talked about it yesterday, I believe yesterday on a post about don't try to live by other people's perceptions. Hard to do, Logan.
Yes.
Right. That's really hard to do in this day and age with social media. And, I've talked to some kids before, like, us as adults, we think Twitter's not real life, but in some ways it is, because that's where you are and that's all you see. So you have to try to fight that perception. How do kids find that balance to say, okay, I still want to be connected. I want to use social media or even just my other friends. Everyone doesn't have to be on social media, and use their stories maybe it's even a teammate that I see that has things that are different than mine. How do I not compare? How do I find that balance? What, again, neither of us are professionals, but in your mind, what is something that a kid can take away to say, here's what you can do to not compare, not to have those perceptions?
Yeah, I think for me, what I had really done was kind of journaling, you know, and describing who I am as a person,
Okay.
and doing a lot more internal reflection on who is Logan Hessbrook, and you know, because there's so many different people out there that are going to try to change you or say you have to make a change in your life, and you know, but then there's that group that loves you for who you are as a person, and so I think that, you know, you can appeal to so many different people and you can try to be friends with every single person in the world, you know, because if you change for what makes them happy, then they're going to be like, hey, well, this guy's awesome. But, you know, to me, it's like, there's no sense in trying to gain a new friend if I have to change who I am. And, you know, so many people are out there living to try to stay who they are as a person, but trying to change others to try to, you know, broaden their friend group. And, you know, I think that social media nowadays, a lot of people are making posts on, you know, Instagram or Snapchat or Twitter, you know, to try to just get a reach or an attention or something that is seen as funny. And if you're just trying to get clickbait, you know, then that's where you really have to kind of sit down and think of what you're trying to do. And, you know, I think for myself with social media, anytime that I'm posting something, you know, I'm thinking, all right, if my mom or dad is right behind me, am I going to post this? And I think that's the biggest thing is if you think about, you know, whoever it is, a significant person in your life, if someone you look up to, if they're going to, you know, say that, hey, you know, I'm with you when you post that, or that's who you are as a person, then go ahead. But I think a lot of kids now, you know, I see kids that are posting stuff about, you know, their personal success after a game, but they also lost by 20, you know, in basketball, football, or baseball. And, you know, I think that's what kids see now. And especially with the recruiting is, well, kids are getting offers, kids are doing this. And so, you know, they're saying, oh, well, great first game, 8 catches, 3 touchdowns, you know, 180 yards receiving. And it's like, okay, but you still lost. But that's exactly. But, you know, so many kids are looking for that external influence to try to get happiness. And, you know, I think it's different for each person. But, you know, for me, it was like, you know, I kind of just boiled it down to, you know, what's going to make me happy today. You know, there's days where, you know, where I just want to sit down. I want to play Madden when I get home from work or get home from football practice. And, you know, then there's days where it's like, shoot, I want to go have a beer with my brother, or I want to go, you know, go hang out with my friends. And, you know, I think that, you know, when you have a tight group of friends and you tell them, hey, this is what I'm doing tonight. And they're like, hey, that's cool. I'll see you later then. But then sometimes, you know, you'll learn that you have different friends that are on the edge when, you know, they're like, oh, well, come on, like you have to, or trying to pressure you into doing something. And, you know, I think that can be toxic to you as a person. You know, whether you give into peer pressure in any sort of aspect in your life. And, you know, for me, it's like, you know, I don't care. My friends, if they're truly my friends, they're going to be there tomorrow for me. So, you know, I think that for me, it's just been living in the present and, you know, just trying to, because each day you're going to have a struggle, you know, whether it's with work, whether it's social life, relationship, anything. I mean, you're going to get through some sort of adversity. It might be minor, but, you know, you got to learn how to attack that. And for me, you know, I had learned that, you know, those different triggers of different stress from, you know, past relationships had been brought up. And, you know, for me, it was like, all right, I can't live in the past. And, you know, you use those past experiences to make you who you are in the present, and you learn from it in the future. But, you know, my future is being created right now as we speak. And I think that, you know, that's the most important thing. It's like the future is going to come, you know, whether you're ready for it or not. So there's no sense in worrying about what could happen a week from now, or let alone, you know, it's Friday right now. What could happen on a Sunday? And, you know, so for me, it's like, I'm just trying to take those 24 hours I got one day, and, you know, whatever's thrown at me for the good or for the bad, I'll just rock with it. And, you know, that's my whole mindset on that.
Well, it's a good mindset. You kept saying like you were referencing kids these days, or 17-year-old Logan. Well, 38-year-old Dan Pedrosa is listening, because there's a lot of things that I need to improve on that stuff too. So I'll tell you what, everybody can take that message. I want to take us a little bit of a segue as we kind of get ready to wrap up sports. And I mean, again, you just talked about, you're not, and I think that was a great message. You're not just, you know, Logan, the football coach or the football player. you got a job, you've got a life, you've got all sorts of things. You're probably awful at Madden, but at the end of the day, that's what you like to do.
Not great,
But
not great.
let's talk a little bit about sports, man. Do you still follow it? Are you still, is into it, whether it be following the Lions or Central Michigan football? Obviously, that's going to be one of your passions, being an alum from there. Do you still follow the game the same way you did, or have you kind of changed a little bit? Maybe on a Sunday, you're not watching 8 straight hours of NFL football anymore.
I mean, I think it's kind of ingrained in my blood. So I'm following all sports all the time. I will say that I don't follow baseball as much as I used to when I was in high school. To me, it can kind of get boring at times to watch on TV. Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love going to a Tigers game and all that. But, college football, I mean, I follow that, every single day. NFL football. I'm a big Steelers guy. Uncle Terry was a Steelers guy. My dad was a Steelers guy. So, I'm not too upset about that because, the Lions, I mean, who knows? Goff might turn it around this year, but
I'm telling you, he's going to get it done.
I hope. I mean, shoot, I hope so. But no, I mean, I love following the game. And I mean, I think it's a different avenue from when I was playing. I think I watch it more now, than I did when I was playing because I think when you're a college athlete in whatever sport it is, you kind of get sick of it at times. And
right.
So it was like, shoot, it was like, we'd have a game on a Saturday and I'd watch a Saturday night game after it, if we had a 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock kickoff. But, a lot of times on Sunday, it was like, shoot, I would just watch Netflix because that was it was like the one day I could unwind from football because I knew, Sunday night, then I'm going to end up starting watching film on the next opponent. So, so I think now it's a lot less stressful for me to be able to watch on a Saturday and Sunday and, just to be able to see the game. Obviously, you see it from a different angle as you've already went through it and played, at the college level. And so I think it's a cool thing now, especially that I get to see, like Tyler Conklin, who was one of my closest friends, playing for the Vikings and expecting a big year out of him. And, Sean Bunning, who, just won a Super Bowl with the Buccaneers. And, him and I went one-on-one so many times in practice. And, so being able to see those guys out there and performing at that level, I mean, it's so cool. And those experiences that I've had being with those guys in the locker room and, because there's different things, about every single guy in the locker room, you hear the dirty side of things and, you got different dirt on everyone. So, it's kind of cool. The funny side of people, but, they present themselves in such a manner that, all the kids are looking up to them nowadays. And, but it's cool. It's fun to stay involved in the game. And, I mean, I think it's only going to keep growing for me as I keep getting separated from the game and as I get older.
There you go. It's funny you mentioned that. So I don't know Tyler at all, but he started at Northwood playing basketball, right?
Yeah.
That's Tyler, right? So funny story about the 2 other people you just mentioned. Then we're going to wrap up here. And again, I've enjoyed our conversation. So obviously Logan here is talking with us. Logan started play with us at Saginaw Valley and then transferred to Central Michigan, had a great career. Tyler started playing basketball at Northwood University, Division II school right down the road from Saginaw Valley, went to Central. Now, like you said, he's having a great career and playing in the NFL. And Sean, funny thing about Sean, he wouldn't know me at all. I know his high school coach really well. This would have been right around your time, obviously.
Yeah.
I remember being at Sean's first game as a senior, watching him play. They might have been playing Dakota, actually. And we were his first, offer. Again, it was all verbal at that time. We hadn't, gotten to all the financials or anything yet. And then he had a few more things come up, kind of like your story a little bit. And then he took that gray shirt to Central, and now he just won a Super Bowl. So the message that you shared today on this podcast, Logan, that was probably one of the best we've had because it's serious and legitimate, but you're also putting a really good spin on it. But it's also talking about, you got to be true to who yourself, because that was what Sean told me. Like, listen, coach, I appreciate everything, but this is what I think is the best opportunity for me. And we actually ended up recruiting his brother. And I believe his brother, right when I left, signed at Saginaw Valley. And I remember getting a chance to talk to his mom. So it's just funny how life will continue to move forward if you kind of follow yourself. So Logan, man, I really appreciate it. Again, we've known each other for a while, but this message was probably one of the best we've had. And again, we both said it. If there's somebody out there who's listening and you have some serious concerns, you need to go talk to somebody.
Yes.
We're obviously both going to advocate for you going to sit down, and you mentioned going to talk to your primary care doctor. That's a big part of it, but trusting in your circle, man. So awesome message. that was a lot of fun. You probably got to go get ready to go work out and do all this different stuff in between your day, man. I tell you, you still look like you're about 250 rock solid, man. So you come over here. You come over here to Wisconsin sometime. We'll go to a Brewers game, man. It'll be a lot of fun. But Logan, man, I can't thank you enough. Best of luck in the season, this upcoming fall. And for everybody that got a chance to join us today on State of Play, we really enjoy it. Have a great rest of your week. Talk to you guys again soon.